Welcome to another episode of the State of the Bulldogs. Sam, Mike, Jeb, and Grant. Just Grant and I tonight following our football preview. We're here to talk about West Georgia. On the eve of Labor Day, football has begun. Mercer with the no contest against UC Davis in the FCS kickoff game. Hawaii beating Stanford. Kansas State losing to Iowa State in Ireland. Pretty fun first weekend, Grant.
Yeah, Iowa State where they didn't have any lines on the field because it rained so
Dude,
much.
what
But
was
like that had to put paint on at halftime, but the paint was on for like maybe 5 minutes of gameplay. Then it's like, oh, there's no lines here. It's just like a perfect kind of week zero. Okay, let's figure this thing out. Same thing with the kind of tradition of okay, there's only like 8 or 9 games this weekend. All of them have to be on TV, right? So, well, not exactly because UNLV and Dan Mullen were opening for week zero of their game, and there was nowhere to be found. All of Twitter's like, "Where's the game? Where's the game?"
Which is so sad.
But it was streaming on Mountain West is a Roku app and their website. So as if people went to go check out Dan Mullen's first game with pretty much every major 5-star that never worked out on his roster, trying to find a way, and they beat Idaho State by 7.
Squeaked by them. Now, granted, they were up pretty big, and then Idaho State clawed back into the game. But how awesome would that have been had they lost?
And all the Florida fans were tweeting and said, "Oh, it's just like the Samford game again, all over." Like I was like, "Oh yeah, it's nice to know we're still in that kind of zeitgeist when it comes to that first half in 20."
We're still relevant, even despite having 0 players on an active NFL roster. We're still relevant. R.I.P. Montreal. Hopefully, he lands us in a spot. I mean, there was so much Twitter hype coming out of Giants camp with Montreal highlights. So
yeah, it played so well. Yeah,
maybe somebody will pick him up. But yeah, what's up with the paint in Ireland? It was played at a soccer stadium. They play that football game there every year. They have a hole in the ceiling, so it rains. It's in Ireland, so presumably it rains a lot.
Yeah, they said like 70% of the time or something like that. Yeah.
They don't have a waterproof paint?
I don't know. They couldn't figure out. Last year had the same problem with like TV difficulties and same kind of thing this year trying to figure it out. But yeah, it was pretty funny. Look out there. It said fourth. It's 4th and 4. It's like, how's the receiver gonna know it's 4th and 4 because there's no lines on the field?
Seriously, that was an interesting game. Very happy that we do not have Avery Johnson as our quarterback. I would much rather have Quincy. That guy looks just like an elite athlete, flashes like an elite athlete, just never seems to get it done. All right, let's talk about West Georgia. Back-to-back years kicking off the season against the Wolves. Hopefully this one goes better. If you listen to our football preview, most of us do not think it will go better. But let's go through the depth chart first. That was released heading into this week, either today or yesterday. But Grant, run through starting offense and defense for us.
Quincy, obviously quarterback. CJ Edmonds, running back, grad transfer. Outside wide receiver Calvin Jones, slot receiver Preston Bird, other slot receiver Teddy Davenport with Jaden Gibson, the Virginia transfer on the outside. Vance Nicholas gets the nod at tight end over freshman Cannon Pig. And then the offensive line, something we'll definitely be talking about over the next few weeks. Left tackle Caleb May, sophomore. Tyler Douthat at left guard, sophomore. Noah Watts at center. Caleb Pearley at right guard. And Webb Davidson, the Virginia Tech transfer, at right tackle.
Yeah, interesting. Webb Davidson never played it down, starting at right tackle. Experienced left tackle and Duncan Johnson getting the second spot behind transfer Caleb May. So we got 2 transfers. And I'd have to go look at my notes, but I'm almost positive Caleb also did not play. So 2 guys with almost zero experience at your tackle position. Not ideal, but we do really love Webb's size, 6'6", 310. That's always exciting. Caleb Pearley. We figured they'd find a spot for the 320-pound guy on the offensive line, and they did.
Kind of have to, right?
That's right. Noah Watts is probably the most, he's the most experienced player at center. That's a great spot to have your most experienced lineman. So this offensive line is young, inexperienced. As we predicted, we shall see how that goes. But was a little bummed to see Cannon Pig not be named day one starter. I mean, I think by the end of the season he will be, barring injury, the starter just could because his ceiling. And then shout out to Teddy Davenport, the senior, maybe grad senior. Carving out a little spot on the starting lineup week 1. Congrats to him, because I know that there's some very athletic youngins probably nipping at his heels. So love to see the experience there, but otherwise not too surprising on the offensive front.
Yeah, and in that receiver room, all three spots are true freshmen and redshirt freshman backups. After that, we knew that
Yes.
coming in with Torrey Ward backing up Calvin Jones, Ward, a freshman from nearby Helena and Birmingham, Nicholas Bookman, another freshman, and then Nick Creighton, a redshirt freshman from last year, and then Sam Pickett, another redshirt freshman. Some all freshmen behind the starting wide receivers.
It just drives home the point that there is a slew of freshmen on this roster, and at almost every position, not even just wide receiver, on the offensive side of the ball, there's a true freshman or redshirt. Brady Stover, backup quarterback. He played. Didn't he play like 3 snaps last year?
Yeah, he and who was
There's
the
one other
other?
guy.
Yeah,
He played like 4 snaps.
no, Hayden Cleese played a little bit. He exactly a handful of snaps between both those guys. But yeah, interesting to see Stober get the nod over Charlie Gilliam, who transferred in from Wake.
Yeah, yeah. All right, defensively, Grant, hit us.
I broke it down on both sides of the ball. There's 15 redshirt or true freshmen. So
Sick.
on the two deep, exactly. Moving over to the defense at D end, Corey Ward, nose tackle Hank Weber, the Wisconsin transferred Mice guy from Franklin, Tennessee. SoCon first teamer Condor Cunningham on D end, and then dog position another lineman Donovan Grayson, transferred from West Virginia. Will linebacker Carson Sloan, a redshirt freshman. Mike, our guy Jaden Mosley, were in that number 5. Star position, kind of that have safety and a pass pro in pass situations, and then run kind of moving up, play a little bit of linebacker. Gumbo Gaskins or Keyshawn Washington transferred in from Murray State. And then at the corners, you got Julie Yancey, who's back, Nelia Perkins, a preseason country All-American, a third teamer by one site. Then at strong safety, another Amari Wansley or LaShawn Young, 2 transfers there. And then Jalen Nelson or Trey Leinhart. Nelson is back for another year. Leinhart is a redshirt freshman transfer from Appalachian State at the free safety spot.
Again, not too many surprises. It's exciting to see at the DN spot, true freshman backup Jackson Bussey. That was a guy we talked about, or maybe he could be redshirt freshman. It's always thrown me off that that's not included in these lists. But that's fun. I mean, that some of these young guys are exciting. You go back to the offense. Webb Davidson, that is an exciting kid. He's huge and he's young. Jackson Bussey, another exciting young guy. Be interested to see Carson Sloan getting the start. Pretty sure he is a redshirt freshman.
Yeah.
And then Dylan Henderson in the corner, DB, second string freshman. So I don't know. Well, the defense should be. We were talking or texting. No Gavin Morris. I think he's hurt. I don't know why he wouldn't be on here. I don't know. That is a question mark that we saw. And then the other thing, LaShawn Young. That was a guy we talked about, the Miles College transfer. Very productive at Miles College, but we discounted it because it was Miles. Interesting to see that he got the oar because I think we're in consensus in that the 2 Murray State guys were going to be starting, Washington and Wansley. So we shall see how that shakes up. But not too many surprises. I think the biggest one on defense, we don't see Gavin Morris's name. That could just be an injury. It's just a week 1 depth chart. Nothing crazy. The scariest thing is on the offensive side of the ball, where you have a lot of inexperience. Albeit, even if they're a redshirt sophomore and they've theoretically been in a system for 3 years, if you've never played a snap,
no game reps,
yeah. What is that? Well, what is that? So. Interesting times ahead, Grant. I will say, going over the West Georgia roster, they're replacing essentially their entire receiving core from a production standpoint, their entire running back room from a production standpoint. They returned one guy who rushed for about 100 yards last season. But they are returning their quarterback, are returning several offensive linemen, returning their 2 best linebackers, leading tacklers, studs, returning a few D linemen and a few guys in the secondary. So not replacing as much as we are across the board, but I would say are replacing some key components, especially the wide receivers. But let me give you a quick rundown of the West Georgia roster and my takeaways. So their quarterback, he's back. Davin Widener, the Ole Miss transfer 2 seasons ago, who I wouldn't say carved us up last year. He passed for like 230 yards against us. but certainly did not necessarily struggle. They do have to replace their running backs, but they have presumably some good guys. The interesting thing about them is they don't take. So last year we talked about the West Georgia roster. They just had a ton of transfers, right?
All of them, basically, yeah.
It's almost like they're taking our coaching staff's approach this season, where they have a ton of young guys, a lot of freshmen, and the running back room has about five freshmen, a sophomore, and then the transfer Keandre Malglore. He's a transfer from EKU. I think he might have been on the roster, but he didn't play last year for West Georgia. But he's the lone upperclassman. I guess he's starting. I don't know. That's one thing we want to do. Give a shout out to Samford's SID. They actually give information. The West Georgia staff doesn't even have a 2025 fact book to give us really any kind of overview of the season, much less a depth chart for the week 1 game. So running back's a little bit of a question mark. Offensive line, though, ready for some of these sizes. So remember in our preview last week, we talked about how undersized our offensive line was, with the obvious exceptions of Webb Davidson and Caleb Purley, both guys over 300, and as we see are on the starting roster. But West Georgia's not playing. They have a ton of players, so we don't know who's starting. And they get a lot of freshmen. All right, so we got 277, 285, 290, 320, 280, 295, 315, 297, 350. Good that Lord. Seems too big. He is 6'7".
6'7", 350. Yeah, definitely a tackle there.
He started last year. Against us. He had 3 starts total, but I'm almost positive it was against us, because when we were down there on the field, there were some big guys. So 350, 325, 295, 295, 290, and then 278, 271. So certainly some smaller guys that probably are not going to play when you have about 5, 6, 300-plus pound behemoths. That's going to be a challenge, because that was one thing we talked about. Our defensive line, fairly undersized. You go through the weights of the 2 deep on our D-line, 265, 275, 280, 305, Maxon Woodward's the heaviest, and then 260, 240. So not terrible, not like we're throwing 250 out there, but certainly not something that you want to see. Especially when you got 350 pounds coming right at you. And then wide receiver, this was the other crazy thing. The heights, Grant, we were joking about this before we started recording. This is actually crazy. So, all right, they're plenty of guys who are around 5'10", 5'11". So we got 6 foot, 5'10", 6'5", okay. 5'11", 6 foot, 6'2", 5'7", 6'3", 6 foot, 6'3", 6'4", 6'2", 6'2", 5'11", 6'1", 6'3". I mean, this is what we were talking about last year. When we went through West Georgia's roster last year, we saw big guys. We saw tall wide receivers. We saw big offensive linemen, big defensive linemen. But we kind of, if you go back and listen to the preview, we probably said something along the lines of, well, this is all transfers. It's their first D1 game. Are they going to gel? We don't know really who the quarterback is. Is this system going to work? Blah, 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 blah. Watching the game last year, Grant, we both saw it. West Georgia played with a different level of physicality. They were overall more athletic, albeit the technique was not there, especially with the D-line. Our D-line last year, albeit a little bit undersized, was still able to get some pretty good penetration. And then our offensive line was able to move a little bit. We were not able to run the ball, if you remember.
Didn't run the ball much, yeah.
Yeah. So I think if you take that sentiment, it's still the same in the sense that they have really big athletic guys. Problem, you kind of layer on or take the layer off of, well, they're all transfers, blah, 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 because a lot of these guys are returning. A lot of these guys were on the team last year who maybe didn't play but are now back in the same system. They beat us, most importantly, last year. And there's nothing on paper that says that this team is going to play any less hard or is going to be any less big or or slower. Like there's no indicator just looking at their roster that it's going to be an easier battle. So take that for what it is. Samford has its work cut out, especially against some young guys. They're going to have to grow up real fast. And by real fast, I mean like a quarter. I'm not saying it's going to be a blowout, but it's a game that could slip away and we lose by 2 or 3 possessions.
Yeah, to that point last year as a team, West Georgia only gave up 17 sacks as a unit last year compared to Samford, who gave up 34 sacks last year. 27 sacks last year. 27, so a little bit more. Yeah, just finding a way to get through that O line. And what does the Samford D line look like? What does Hank Weber give you, a guy from Wisconsin? What does Corey Warren give you after playing a little bit last year? Cunningham, he's your dude coming back, but then you got Grayson there, the West Virginia transfer. He hasn't obviously played much coming from West Virginia with Andrew Jordan, a junior behind him. See, again, we've harped on it so much, but it's really no experience in trying to find out what they're going to be. You really don't know until you get out there.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's now that I think about it a little bit more, there's a lot of similarities in these two teams. Both are returning their quarterback. Both are returning their best linebacker, leading tackler. Theirs is Jay Carter, redshirt junior. So from that standpoint, all right, that's a pretty solid footing. If you're going to turn, essentially, you're returning both of your quarterbacks, the linebacker on defense, the quarterback on offense. I would give West Georgia the edge in size on the offensive line. I would give West Georgia the edge on the size on defensive line. Didn't run through those weights, but they're not small quickly because they have like 100 of them. 220, but then 255, 256, 281, 250, 225, 290, 230, 281, 255, 285, 250, 245, 266, 280, 270, 240, 300, freshman, 300, 6'1", Balin Carr from Columbus, Georgia, Brookstone, private school down there. That's awesome. If you got that cat on your squad, now who knows if he's any good?
Yeah, no one knows.
But it's always good to have a 300-pounder. But the slight edge there, just because no one is absurdly large. But again, going back to last season, they looked more athletic on the D line. They played harder. They played faster. They played stronger. I don't think that is going to change. And again, they didn't bring in a ton of transfers, which is wild. They do have a few Mercer transfers sprinkled in, which I guess makes sense. I mean, that's
following Taylor. Yeah, he was a DC at Mercer before taking this job. So, yep.
So that's kind of fun. But as far as wide receivers and DBs, who knows? Like if you haven't produced and you're returning, I guess I'll give West Georgia the edge because everybody is 6'2". You got a little bit of a size advantage, but who knows how fast they are.
Yeah.
And then I know nothing about the DBs. So just going off of what we know about the team, it's an L for Samford. If Samford can come out and the offensive line is not nearly as bad and we can establish some kind of running game, which we were not able to do, take a little pressure off of Quincy. Defense gets a couple of stops. Again, we were not able to do that till the second half.
Yep.
West Georgia started off so hot. Got a couple big passes on us. So, look, if we control the tempo, it's the classics, right? If you control the tempo, if you control the line of scrimmage, we're going to have a chance to win the game.
Hard for all 4 quarters, the usual, yeah.
The usual. But, like,
yeah.
There is a distinct pot. Let me put it this way, Grant. I can see us getting blown out by West Georgia. I cannot see us blowing West Georgia out, if that makes sense. I can see us winning. That's not out of the question. But West Georgia seems a little bit bigger, a little bit faster, a little bit better.
Yeah, Devin Wider, to that point, their quarterback coming from Ole Miss. He was in the game against Samford. He was 24 for 35 for 271 and 2 tuds last year. Sacked a couple times, and last year as a total, he had 11 touchdowns and threw for a couple thousand yards. Yeah, it's a mixture of in there. And again, we think that Samford's strength on defense is going to be the secondary. So we'll see how they fare against these kind of taller, bigger wide receivers. It does help that Samford's corners have experience with Yancey coming back, and then Perkins, obviously the preseason All-American, with their Perkins is 6 feet 178. Yancey is about 5'11", 180. But still, Perkins showed a Fordham last year third team All American, had 5 interceptions, had like 8 interceptions, 15 PBUs. So he'll be the go-to guy for Samford back there. So really good get. But yeah, to your point on who's going to win or lose, I'm sure Vegas will have Samford as a maybe 9 to 10 point favorite, but it's just a matter of all the unknowns and not knowing what's going to come next, and how Samford's D line can kind of attack to what we think is a bigger O line.
But yeah, I don't know what the line's going to be. We pulled up last year's. Samford opened up at 17.5 point favorite, which obviously did not happen. Um, I would guess we're favored this time. What's interesting, Grant, the UAC preseason poll, these are all worthless as the big upset over the weekend. Nichols beating Incarnate Word, who was preseason number
That
4
was
in the
ugly.
country. It was
Yeah,
terrible. Like, Nichols looked head and shoulder better. Uh, now, granted, Incarnate Word was able to always make it look like they could get back in the game, which means that there is a lot of good talent on that team. But Nichols came to play. So, with all that said, these polls are meaningless, but it's fun. UAC, West Georgia tied for 7th out of 9. So, essentially, you could look at it as 8th or look at it as 7th. Regardless, not in a great spot. Tarleton State and Abilene Christian are the favorites in that conference. That makes sense.
Yeah, Tarleton dominated Portland, shut them out actually week 0, and West Georgia doesn't have anybody. They just do one team, nobody on the first team for a preseason award. So,
but a lot of that has to do with they're not returning a lot of production, especially on the
that's
offensive
fair.
side of the ball. A little surprised their linebacker, who was really good, wasn't necessarily getting any preseason mention. But
Yeah, because same with Samford, because their 3 returners are the 3 guys that are on the team. Counting Perkins
yeah,
too, so 4 guys. So 3 of the 4, if you count Applefield, the long snapper, that's 4 or 5 guys that returned from last year. So you just don't know.
you don't. But we'll see. If I was putting a line on it, I would probably say West Georgia is a 3-point favorite. But who knows?
Yeah,
Maybe their running backs have no vision and they have a great offensive line, but they don't take advantage of it because they don't hit the right hole. Maybe their wide receivers are slow or can't catch. Plenty of SEC teams go find that out first week of the season. So that's what we love about college football. You never really know. The biggest thing I think for us to watch is how our offensive line gels over the first few weeks. That'll give us a decent indicator of what our expectations should be, because the defense should be good. It's not going to be, and should be more. Frankly, it should be more consistent.
Yeah,
that was one thing last year. It showed flashes of brilliance, and then the West Georgia game, prime example, flashes of we can't stop anything. So
yeah, and they would wear down because the offense put them in bad spots. Like, you play well so first half, then we got to stop on a 4th down, then Samford would turn it over after punt 4 plays later. So those are really good complementary football, as they say, work around. Funny you mentioned that Nichols, being Incarnate Word, that's who West Georgia plays week 2. They go 2 Nichols and Thibodeau. So,
well, hopefully they're starting off 0-2. That's all I gotta say.
And then before he said that, they host ETSU in week 3. So
interesting. So get a little double dose of the SoCon. I guess we're getting a double dose of the UAC because we play Austin Peay.
Yeah, Austin. Yep.
Well, all right. As we talk through it, Grant, I feel a little bit better just because West Georgia is a little bit more of an unknown. I still would be surprised. Yeah, I don't see it. Like I said, I don't see us blowing them out. We were much more confident last year. I think a lot of that had to do with it's their first D1 game. Truly, no one knew anything about them. But they got a pretty decent coach. They had a rough season last year. We get that, but he's back. They've kind of reloaded, and they're in a tough conference.
Yeah, we thought last year that Samford offense would put up 35 points a game. So, the 2 were held scoreless in the 4th quarter of that one after scoring 29 points after that point. Yeah, West Georgia outscored us 12-0 in the 4th, where Samford was turning over, and then the defense again had a blocked field goal too involved in that too, which the kicking game, we'll see how that improves as well this year.
Yeah, when we went through the schedule last week, some of us saw 3 or 4 wins. Some of us maybe saw 5 or 6. The West Georgia game is one of the few toss-ups. Obviously, we're going to think we're going to get our revenge on Citadel, which is sad to say. But we should beat Citadel. We will probably lose to Western, probably lose to Furman, we'll definitely lose to Mercer.
Yeah, their defense is legit.
And then we should beat VMI. We will probably lose to Chat. Should beat Wofford. Probably lose to ETSU. Who knows about Austin P? So this is like the one game. I guess we haven't even talked about Austin P. We will, I guess, in 3 months. But
yeah,
this is the set the tone game, because you have a pretty decent shot to be 2-0 going into Baylor. And you also have a pretty decent shot of being 0-2. So
exactly. Yeah. If you start 0-2, we might as well just pack it up and go home at this point. We might as well just become a West Georgia pod if we lose to
get the basketball countdown started.
Yeah, Lenny, please, good Lord. Yeah, so hopefully it's a 2-0, then 2-1 Baylor, and then Western Dickens, obviously tough. Furman, we didn't get to play them last year due to the hurricane.
They lucked out.
Suspending that one. I will beat Texas A&M at the end of the year. I'm pretty sure about that.
Well, of course.
But yeah, we'll make a Texas 8-4. We'll make them Texas 7-5 after we beat them in at the regular season finale. But again, we talked about it last week. Conference play ends November 8th for us with ETSU because we have Austin P and A&M the next two. So which is why we're getting Citadel early in week 2. So.
All right, Grant. Score prediction. How dumb are we going to look? Score prediction.
Hold on. Can I go back and look at last year's show and then compare?
We all picked them. We all picked Samford to win big last year. I guarantee.
Yeah.
It.
No. Yeah.
Guarantee it.
I would. You just don't know about this offense. We've talked about it last week and tonight. Let's say Samford big at home. We'll see how much difference that makes. I think Samford will win 28-21.
Wow, a 7-point dub. I think it's a little uglier than that. I think there's some missed extra points on both sides. I'm going to roll with just a random score. Let's say 29-25, 29-24. West Georgia. I don't have a lot of faith yet.
We do have a new kicker this year who hopefully can make some extra points. So we'll have that going for us. Hopefully.
23, West Georgia. The only other news going on campus right now is the soccer team. Lost a sad one to Alabama, 3-1. We were tied at 1-1. Could not pull that out. Apparently, pretty good student showing. I know we had the rally this past week for the freshman class. It was pretty cool seeing what the basketball stadium looks like, or basketball arena.
Apologies. Yeah, arena.
Looks
if you
like
build it, they will come. Yeah.
That's right. So maybe there's a groundswell with this new freshman class coming in. We'll see. Would be fun. That might make or break the West Georgia game. If we got a good student turnout that stays, I know we would always bail because it was so hot. But
and it helps. Yeah, night game Thursday night. Those are usually the ones that have the most juice, obviously. So.
Yeah. But soccer's going on. There, we have yet to win. Season just started though. We lost the first game to Georgia Southern 2-3, tied Auburn 0-0. The South Alabama game was canceled. Just said we lost Alabama, and then we have Jacksonville State on the road on Thursday, before taking on Georgia State in Atlanta. Oh, on Thursday. Might see if I can go to that game. I just put that together.
Yeah, there you go.
That'd be fun. I don't know where Georgia State plays soccer. It'd be really cool if they play at Turner Stadium, where they play football.
That would be sick. Yeah, who knows?
Because they're getting creative down with all their athletic facilities. They're building a new new baseball stadium in the old Cobb County ballpark, which is cool.
Oh, okay.
Like that footprint. There's, I think, just a cement wall around it right now. But cool things happen at Georgia State. Anyway, anything else, Grant, before we call it a night?
Samford volleyball season opens this coming weekend. Friday they play Georgia on Friday, Troy on Sunday before they go on the road next week to Knoxville. They were picked to finish second in the preseason poll behind Wofford. Samford got three first place votes. Wofford got 5, and Samford had Kaylee Merritt in the preseason all conference teams. Yeah, volleyball getting underway with their home opener this weekend.
We should have done a little volleyball preview because last year's team was so fun. Are we returning Any girls?
Merritt returns, who was on a team last year. She ranked 4th in the SoCon in kills with 371, 3rd in the league in kills per set, averaging a team
Those are
best
such
3.6.
sweet stats, like
I don't know, right.
kills.
She had double-digit kills in 22 different matches last season, including a career high. Thank you, Joey, for this. A career high 27 against a Citadel in the SoCon tournament. But yeah, a good kind of core of returning girls back for another year. So yeah, a coach has a role in there. Coach Chan Keeler's got a role in with a good program he's been building the last few years for Samford volleyball. And then with the new basketball court, the volleyball lines are no longer on the court, so they got the
That's
new
right.
I forgot what you call it, but whatever.
Terraflex.
Terraflex, there you go. New Terraflex court. I saw one of the girls posted on Instagram. It looked pretty sweet. So
Another shout out to
was the
Joey.
new. Yeah.
Joey, y'all really are killing it. It is so nice to be able to read little fun stats like that, and just able to read depth charts and facts and numbers before we go into any of the sports seasons. Because as we look at a lot of these opponents, even in conference, the information just is not there. So thank you guys.
I've got this whole fact book right here, ready to roll.
It's amazing. No, it's not always perfect, but that's okay. We just need something.
It is 94 pages, and we got all the records. It's a good read. It's on the Samford website, obviously, and go check it out. But yeah, if you want to find out,
it's every sport too.
There you go. If you want to find out every Samford football record, you can just go in this list, and Joey will have it there. Like the largest margin of victory for Samford was in 1907. We beat Birmingham Southern 87-0.
Let's go. 87-0. We should get them back on the schedule. Ooh.
That's tough.
It's tough.
Largest margin defeat. We lost to this team in Kentucky called Center in 1920.
Oh, yeah. They're D3 now.
Okay. 120-0.
What? 120-0? Oh,
at their place. How did we give up 100?
I gave up 120 points.
Man, the 1920 team had it rough. On October 2nd, they gave up 88 to Auburn, and then a week later they gave up 120 to Center.
So you're telling me, Grant, we were never Sewanee?
we were not. Yeah. The 1920 teams got a 2 record. See, again, they're like you can go as far as 1907 with that Birmingham Southern score in here.
Better question, Grant. Is there any year in there where we think we could claim a national title?
I'm sure there's some in here. Let me go. I can go through the record. Shout out Auburn, finding some titles in the cracks.
Even better question, Grant. How many national titles do you want to win? 6, 7? We could just put it up. I mean, yeah, we can say anything.
Yeah, we can just make up whatever we want. We put it on the stadium too. We get a good signage over there at a Pete Hanna Stadium. We can check it out.
We need to put it on the bridge, so then when they're showing it on the TV broadcast, it's just in everyone's face. So everybody, send us a couple years you'd like to see Samford proclaimed as the national champion, and guess what? We will proclaim it on our website, and that will be basically as official as some of these at Alabama and now Auburn have been claiming. So
there you go.
Just let us know, everybody. We'll make an argument. 3-8. Hey, everybody else forfeited the season. We were the de facto national champion. We can start from there.
Yeah, you can just pick whatever you want. Quick trivia question for you: which quarterback has the most passing yards in a game in Samford history?
In a game.
I
mean, it's got to be Hodges, right?
He's the career record holder, but not the most in a single game.
Welch.
There you go. Liam Welch
against Florida.
2021 against ETSU, actually. Well, he had...
How good would that have been, though?
Yeah, I know, right? He was 56 for 73, most completions in a game, most attempts in a game, both are records. Wow. 56 for 73 for 582 against ETSU.
73 passes. Some would call that inefficient. Let's just call it effective, okay? 73 passes is absurd.
And yeah, I'm trying to find that score that we had, but yeah, that's insane. So yeah, Liam Welch has. We ended up losing that game, 55-48 at overtime.
Okay, that game is the epitome of their Hatcher era. Great numbers, except in the only category that counts: wins and losses. And on that note, got the West Georgia game on Thursday. Everybody turn up. The home crowd might be the difference. Instead of the Bulldogs is out. Go Dogs.